Welcome back to A Story to Tell from the campus of Dixie State University. Today we're talking with Deborah Reeder. Did I pronounce that right?
You did.
I'm good.
You are.
Well, I'm not that good. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Deborah. Where you came from, what you're doing, who you are, about your family.
I was born in Laramie, Wyoming, and I consider myself a Wyomingite still. I love that state. I don't know what that says because I know there aren't that many people there. It's a lot of land. But I grew up in the Phoenix area, which was a very different place than it is now. It's much, much larger. Then I got married and moved briefly to Louisiana, northern Louisiana, where we lived for a year. And the South seemed very strange to us, so we moved to the Northwest and lived in the Seattle area for about 6 years, where I got my undergraduate degree in art history and design. And I moved on ahead to go to graduate school at the University of Chicago, in Chicago. So I'm making my way around the country. And I was there for 6 years and got my graduate degree and did PhD coursework in art history, studying primarily medieval Greek manuscript illumination, highly esoteric. It means the period from about the 4th century AD to the 15th century in the Byzantine Empire, which was varying parts of the Middle East, Turkey, Greece. And they would copy manuscripts, and the better ones would have illustrations that were done by hand. Mostly we don't know any of the artists, which is, so there's no egos involved in that. And then we moved to New York and lived there for about 6 years. I love New York. We were out of the city to the northwest, and the weather was quite good. We were above the jet stream, so it was a little cooler than it is in the city. It was great. We had cows and horses over the hill. It was nice. But you could get in to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Metropolitan Opera and all the other galleries and wonderful things that go on in New York.
Wonderful things that go on in New York?
Mm-hmm. In New York, yeah. I love New York. I would go back every year if I could.
I was there once as a Boy Scout.
Mm-hmm.
We had a burro with us, and we came out of Union Station, whatever it is, with the burro.
No.
Yeah. It was the National Jamboree in Valley Forge, and we
no kidding.
went and stayed overnight in New York.
How did you get a burro down?
Well, it was in a baggage car, I think, and I don't know how they did it.
Wow.
But the big deal was we trooped that burro into wherever it was, New York City. That was before you were born, though.
I doubt it, but interesting. Yeah. I've never seen a burro in the city. I mean, there are the 5 boroughs.
Boroughs.
That's different. Yeah. So yeah, New York is great. It's so exciting. But it's nice when I come home now. It's a little more peaceful and less visually stimulating. Being a highly visual person in the arts, it can be quite overwhelming.
How long have you been here in St. George?
12 and a half years.
What brought you here?
The job. I came here to run the St. George Art Museum.
So what's your title there?
The city title is, it's Big Boss, yes. It's manager and curator. In the museum world, it basically would be director and curator, which is typical of small museums. And this is the 3rd one I've done this at.
Where were the other 2?
One was in Wyoming, so from New York I actually moved to Wyoming, where I was for about 8 years, and I ran the Washakie Museum in Worland, Wyoming.
Worland?
Mm-hmm. My sister lives there.
I dated a girl from Wyoming once. Forgotten where she was.
was, it's kind of a
Grable
big
or
state.
some-
Grable?
No, it was
Well,
Cowley.
my mother was born in
Cowley.
Grable. Yeah,
Cowley.
I know Cowley and
But
Byron.
all those little towns are right close together.
Yeah,
aren't
they are. They're all in the Bighorn Basin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that part of Wyoming. Yeah, so I did that. I also drove a sugar beet truck.
You drove a truck?
Yeah,
Truck
I had a
driver.
CDL. It was great. It was really interesting after, having this kind of artistic, cultural life to drive a truck. Yeah, I actually, that's like one of my little dream things. I see the trucks go by and I think, that would be awesome, just driving across country. So,
Well, tell us about the museum.
well, the museum has been in its building for 20 years now. So we've been celebrating 20 years of fine art in the museum. It had a prior history in the city building, which is just down the street, in the basement.
Started out in the basement of the city hall.
It did, yeah. And it was run by some great people who are still around. Glenn Blakely, he has amazing stories. And I think it's September 20th, we're going to have a memories and recollection session with all those people. So that will be something that I'm really looking forward to, finding out more and just hearing the stories of all the people who, made the transition to the new building and helped get that going, and and being part of a city that actually believes enough in art to have a museum. City museums are quite unusual.
Does the city fund it? How do they get their funding?
The city funds it. We raise money to purchase art. So we are lucky that, the city believes in the museum, and because the other two institutions I was at, they were 501c3s, which is a nonprofit. We're a municipal nonprofit, but we had to raise all the money for everything, which is difficult to do at a small institution. Fortunately, they both had kind of big endowments, which helped. But, and this is an unusual state in a way. Almost all the museums are affiliated with the city, a county, the state, or the federal government. And that's very rare in other places. So that is great. And we have a wonderful building. Whenever I just happen to hear somebody who's never been there before, they'll look around and they just have all these great comments. I overhear them like telling their friend or something like, can you believe this? Place, this is a hidden jewel. And we hope that we'll be less hidden with the city's expansion plans that they've been working on for a long time now downtown. So that will be good for us to kind of be a part of a bigger vision. They're looking to create an arts district, which will be similar but somewhat different from the historic district. And it's good that we have a history.
What would the art district consist of? Where would that be?
Mostly the downtown, so it would encompass probably the Arrowhead Gallery in the City Commons building towards the east. I'm not exactly sure how far west it will go. And then all the downtown galleries, and art spaces. So yeah, they've been trying to define exactly, where it's going to be, but it will be similar to the history district, but it will have its own signage and own identity like the history does. So it will be easier for people to sort of navigate the downtown when they visit, and including people who've lived here all their lives, some of which I run into and they've never been to the art museum.
Maybe they don't know about it.
I know, so that's why I'm here.
Well, tell us about it. Tell us what's going on and what we ought to do.
Well, you should come visit, for one, if you haven't been, and even if you have, we are always changing things up. When I got here, the museum had been in existence for about 8 years, and it was a little bit of a transition time, but we have continued to add programs. So we have a family discovery center, an adult study center to go with the exhibits. We've added culture classes in the summer for children. This year we're doing ancient Greece, which is a favorite for the people involved who teach the class and work with the kids. We're as excited as we can be about that. But because of our anniversary, one of our staff persons, Alicia Lockwood, came up with the idea for 20 events for 20 years. So we've been working on this bookmark, which we have here, and you can get at the museum. We have loads of them because we can use them all year long. And we've had several already, but April 29th is the next 20 for 20 event. And at every 20
nice
for
of you
20.
to have that on my anniversary.
Is it really? Oh, happy anniversary in
Thank
advance.
you.
You'll get to see the new exhibit for free. And at every 20 for 20 event, you can fill out a form, and we're going to have a big prize at the end of the year. So you can always enter at any of the 20 for 20. And then 3 things we've never done before. In a brainstorming session, we came up with these. And May 19th, we're going to have a singles night, and we're going to have all kinds of fun and interesting activities that won't be intimidating. We're going to make them non-intimidating. So it'll be fun, just fun. And then we're having on June 16th, teenagers coming to the museum. And I got that idea actually from the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, where they had a teenage night. I thought, well, that would be great. We have music and activities for teens. And then, last of those particular 3, in July 14th, we're going to have date night. So you can bring a date, married date or casual date or friend date. But it too, like the singles night and the teens night, will have all these fun activities and a chance to just do something different in the art museum.
So on date night, I can bring my wife and my girlfriend?
Yes.
It's the same person, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah, and it always should be the same person. I like that, yeah. So that would be
Well,
super.
the singles night, is there any age limit there?
No, there's not. The only age limitation is the teenage night.
So you have to be a teen.
You have to be a teen. I think tweens count. Not
What is that?
I don't know. Younger teens,
Oh.
I think. Yeah. I'm not always up on that lingo.
I heard a rumor that someone's advocating that you have spin the bottle on singles night.
Yes, there was an advocate for that event, but we're not going to do that.
Not gonna do that. Well, that's probably wise. Tell that person to mind their own business, okay?
Yeah, the risk manager might not like that. City.
Might get out of hand.
Might get out of hand, might get in trouble.
What can the singles expect to be doing that night?
Well, we're going to introduce fun ways to get acquainted with other people. Yeah. And we're planning on all of these ventures to learn a little bit about art. So we're still working on some of the details, but it's looking very interesting.
You've had an exhibit there that's just ending, I think, that was quite clever.
It was, and yeah, I'm sad to see it go because being a fan of art history as I am, there's a painter, Shu Yamamoto, who lives up north. He takes masterpieces from the history of art, from Renoir and Degas and the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci, and he makes it, but he changes out and puts cats. And sometimes if there's other little things, he'll put little fish, because cats like to eat fish, and hunting, cats hunting dogs. No dogs were hurt in the painting. It's okay. And I didn't know this because I've never been to Japan, but he said in Japan, people are cat people. And that he was so surprised when he moved to America because we are dog people. And probably I was more surprised because I've always had cats. Just they work better with my lifestyle. I had dogs growing up, but cats don't demand that you get there at a certain time to do certain things. So cats are more flexible. So yeah, so it's been wonderful, and the children have enjoyed it. And he has these little write-ups, and he makes these clever stories from the original to what he's done. Yeah, it's been fun. And today at 5, so time's waning, it ends. So we will then close, and we're going to open 4 new exhibits to showcase the whole gamut of art being done in our area, which is phenomenal. So we're having the Dixie Watercolor Society, the Color Country Camera Club, and then we're having the Fiber Artists of Washington County and the Southern Utah Art Guild. So we'll have all kinds of media, all kinds of styles. It will really be interesting to. And each group was in charge of kind of curating their own exhibit. And we're just going to hang them in order.
Will they run concurrently or one after the other?
They'll run concurrently. Mm-hmm.
So you can get a whole load of art.
Yes, of all kinds. And anybody interested, the groups will have information about their clubs. So it is going to be nice. And we did something similar when we had our 10th anniversary. So we thought at this juncture we should do, an exhibit that included our community. So we came up with that, and I think that is going to be great. And so that 20 for 20 event, that'll be April 29th. It's a Saturday. And we're open from 10 to 5 every day, and that day too. So you can come and bring your friends and family and see what's going on in the art world. I'm excited to see it.
I noticed in the schedule there was someone retiring.
Yes, Kent Perkins, the head of leisure services for way over 30 years, is going to have a reception at the City Council chambers on April 28th from 3 to 5 p.m. And people can come and say goodbye and thank him for his years of service. He's the marathon, he's done, been in charge of that for all those years, and the art festival. All those years he's done so much for the community. It's hard to imagine our life without him, but
what's he going to do?
I believe he's going on a mission. He and his wife are going to go on a mission. And after that, I don't know what he'll be doing. He'll be retired.
I interviewed him once.
Oh, you probably did. I mean, he's great. He has all this enthusiasm and ideas, and but it'll be nice. I think retirement sounds good at some point, everybody.
Well, people call it retirement, but it's just we're unemployed.
And then there's that.
Every day is a Saturday except Sunday.
Yeah, well, the retired people that I know seem busier than they ever expected to be.
Right.
So I think that's just life these days, probably. But they found a replacement, and Shane McAfee seems like he's just going to be great. So
He's the replacement?
He is, and he worked for Camp Perkins and the city like 20 years ago. And he's back he was working in the San Francisco area. So we've all met him. Everybody has a great opinion of him already. And so I think he'll step right in and off we'll go again. And keep doing great things for the community and the arts and recreation. As we're combined in the city, we're under leisure services. So, I don't know, people don't seem to have so much leisure these days. Everybody's so busy, and I think art is integral to life, so I'm not in the leisure part exactly, but people have to take the time to come. So that does take a schedule.
My wife's very interested in art. She's hung up on fish bowls. She goes to the art festival that we've just had here.
Oh, yes.
And we'll buy a bowl with a fish in it. She calls it her fish bowl. So.
Oh, nice.
Is the museum connected with the art festival?
We are, because first we're part of the city, and second, well, I'm involved with the jury panel and getting the judge. Artists from the art festival can bring a piece to be judged. And then we have purchase awards. So the city has a budget that they allot every year for purchasing of art for the museum, which is wonderful. And it's been Kent and my job for many years to do that together. And so this was his last one, and it was hard. But I'm looking forward to next year. We'll get some great art again. I thought the festival had many new artists, which was great, and always encouraging. I think we should always have a bit of a mix, but every jury panel's different, and so it's unpredictable. You can get in one year and not the next. But the weather was perfect.
Yeah.
Everything was very nice. Yeah.
Do you have other family here in town, or are they all somewhere else?
When I came here, I was all by myself. But my father died in Phoenix, and after things got wrapped up, well, we had to go back and forth. My mother moved up to be near. So she has her house about 5 minutes from my house.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, so it is, because, it took about a year to get reoriented after being married for over 50 years. And but she's done well, and so that's been great.
She was married 50 years?
She was over 50. Mm-hmm.
Do you have other family around the country still?
I do. I have a brother in Florida, and he has 2 lovely daughters, and one of whom is going to have a baby in September. And I have a sister in Wyoming, and her family's getting more grown up, so she has 4 children, one of whom lives in Louisiana. So we have a cluster down, and probably pointing the wrong way, and cluster up in Wyoming, and a few sprinkled other places. But yeah, it's hard to get everyone together as people spread out and get married and go to school and do all these things. But we try to get together.
Yeah, families usually scatter.
Yeah, it's probably, I don't know if it's always been that way, but it's easier to get around now than ever.
Yeah.
But we have, great devices, much as I like to blame all our lack of time on technology. Technology does enable you to keep in touch.
Right. Very easily, as a matter of fact.
Very easily. I was thinking about it, it's like 100 years ago, you could send sound, but you couldn't send images.
Right.
I mean, that's a very recent thing that we can just instantly, boom, send an image on the internet. Yeah.
When I was growing up in high school, we didn't even have a TV.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember having a TV until I got out of high school and college. Of course, we were in Panaca, Nevada, and maybe it's understandable. No TV signals there anyway. So.
Well, I remember the TV where you had to turn the dial, and it had the rabbit ears, and you would adjust. And you know, it's nice to sit and click, I guess, but not really. I haven't never been much of a TV person. I watch some PBS programs or movies, but yeah, I kind of miss the little getting up to change the dial. Seems
No
easier
remote,
now if with all the stuff that's plugged in. It's like, oh my gosh, if something gets out of kilter, good luck. Yeah.
We've got a minute and a half left. What's your final word for Washington County?
Well, you know, art has been with our species since the beginning. That was one of the markers and hallmarks of what differentiated us from other species. So somehow it's very important to our being, like nature. So come to the art museum, come to our many events. We have game nights, we have poetry jams now every month. So we've branched out a lot. And come take time for art. It really matters. I think we're good in our community of getting out into nature. We value Zion and other things, but taking time for art, I think, is as important. And it's okay if you don't like it.
Well, Deborah, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Lane.
We
It
wish
was
you luck
great.
with the Art Museum.
Yeah, thank
We've
you.
been speaking with Deborah Reeder, who's the manager, curator of the St. George Art Museum. Stop by and give them a look. It's really worthwhile. And the past, those paintings with the cats were just fabulous, and what's coming up is fabulous. So thanks again for being with us on A Story to Tell from the campus of Dixie State University.